What's up guys, my name is Alex and welcome back to the channel. I want to give something new a try on this channel. I want it to be a weekly series every Monday, and hopefully it'll make your Mondays a little bit more interesting because it can be something you look forward to. So this series is basically going to be photos that you guys send me of your Corsair RGB setups, and I'm going to take a look at them and hopefully the people watching can get inspired and maybe find a new RGB profile that they want to use. If you guys want to submit your own photos so you can be showcased in the next video, make sure to follow the instructions that I'm going to put in the description below, and make sure to follow those carefully or else you might not be included in the next video. So I don't really want to explain too much about the series, it's kind of self-explanatory. You guys send me pictures, I take a look at them, and maybe you guys find a new RGB profile. I'm going to leave a link to the RGB profiles in the description below, as well as all the parts that are in the computer that you see and just in the setup in general. So without talking too much, let's just go ahead and get started. This first setup comes from user Lawrence, and this is the Neon RGB profile. I think it looks fantastic on that K70 with those HyperX pudding keycaps. The case he's using here is the Lian Li 011 Dynamic, and he's sporting some Corsair LL RGB fans and Corsair RGB strips. Inside the case, he's also added a personal touch with a Naruto puppet, which is probably being blinded by all that RGB. And I also love the addition of the Corsair RGB strip up on the ceiling. I think it really completes the ambience in the room. Awesome setup, Lawrence. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. This next setup comes from user Joe. It's a nice little setup in the corner of his room. Here he is using my latest RGB profile called Starfall, which tells me that Joe has a pretty good taste in RGB profiles. His keyboard is a Corsair Strafe RGB. This is the first edition of Strafe keyboards from Corsair, not the new one that came out recently. His mouse is the Corsair M65 Pro RGB, and all of that is resting on top of a large Corsair mouse mat. The case he's using here is the Antec Torque, and it looks phenomenal with all that RGB inside it. Inside there are Corsair LL RGB fans, Corsair Vengeance Pro RGB RAM, and a Corsair H100i RGB Platinum CPU cooler. I also really like the Pac-Man arcade sign. It gives the room a nice retro feel to it, and the RGB strip he's using to make the Pac-Man sign light up is a Walmart LED strip. It's definitely a nice alternative if you're not really interested in high-end Corsair external LED strips. Overall, a really nice setup, and thanks for sharing, Joe. Let's go ahead and move on to the last setup for this video. Last but not least, this setup was sent by user Biohazard. Here he's using a whopping 4 monitors, so it really makes me wonder what you're doing with all those monitors. The RGB profile is my Sunset collection, and he also has a matching background on his monitors, which is a nice touch. On his desk is the Corsair ST100 RGB headset stand, the extra large Elgato Stream Deck, the classic Corsair K95 with 18 macro keys, and the Corsair MM800 RGB mousepad. I'm really happy to see that someone else has the classic K95 with 18 macro keys. That was an awesome keyboard, and I'm really sad that they don't sell it anymore. But anyway, inside his 011 Dynamic, you'll find some Corsair LL RGB fans and the Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro RAM. That sunset profile looks absolutely amazing on those fans. Seriously though, dude, you gotta let me know what you're doing with those 4 monitors. Anyway, awesome setup and thanks for sharing. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. It was kind of short, and that's because I only got 3 people to send in photos, so I'm going to need you guys to go into the description below and see how to enter with your own photos. That way I can have a lot more content for next week. Also, one other thing that you guys might have noticed is that I didn't really go over the specs inside the computers. That's not really the main focus of this series. I want to show you guys RGB profiles on Corsair RGB products, so that's why I was mainly only mentioning the Corsair products. However, if you guys want to feature your own RGB profile, you can follow the stuff in the description below and see how to show off your own RGB profile for the next episode. Thanks for watching guys, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and also hit that notification bell so you can be notified for the next video every week. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys next time.